So while I was talking to many people, of course, after the big news hit that Disney now owns Fox and Deadpool is going to be one of the big core franchises, and arguably the first one that's going to be in the MCU, you have to understand that things aren't necessarily going to go as smoothly as most people would like to believe, and there's a lot of bad stuff that could happen. So let's look at the track record and talk about what me and some other people actually talked about and why it's kind of a little bit worrying. Let's make this clear off the bat. Deadpool would not have happened had Ryan Reynolds not pushed, had that leak not happen, and had Fox had like no interest in it and just said, here's a $60 million budget. And then they cut $10 million out right before they started shooting. So they had to play to the weakness, which made the first Deadpool something very refreshing and unique and something that everybody loved. Of course, the first movie had a director with Tim Miller that had his stamp on it. It was his movie. Ryan Reynolds didn't have as much input, right? Go on to the second one. Tim Miller was given the boot. Ryan Reynolds had way more creative control, and arguably, many people I talked to, the second movie is not as good and doesn't hold up as much as the first movie, and that's kind of understandable. They went for a more meme pool effect, and it just didn't kind of work for many people, me being one of them. I still like the movie. I don't think it's as good as the first one by any stretch of the imagination. Then there was the Christmas thing, which let's not even go and talk about that at all and pretend it didn't exist. So, the better just ignore that. So what are we talking about? Well, Marvel Studios has a very, very controlling hand. You all probably know this. Edgar Wright was working on an Ant-Man movie before 2005. He was literally weeks away from starting to shoot Ant-Man, and he got fired. You know why? He wanted more control. He wanted his own stamp on it, his voice on it, and Marvel Studios and Disney and Kevin Feige were like, that's not how this works. We hire you. You have a unique vision. It's got to fit our mold. Do what we tell you to, or take a hike. That happened with multiple movies, from Iron Man 2 to Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, Guardians 2. It kind of goes all over the place, right? And you have to confide to this mold, and it has to come out a certain way. Ryan Reynolds clearly loves Deadpool, but he's not going to be allowed the same allocation of money and creative control over Kevin Feige. That's just not going to happen. Who do you think Disney's going to trust more? Kevin Feige, who's out here putting 21 movies out together and literally shepherding an entire universe that has surpassed and went on to define Hollywood, or Ryan Reynolds, who wants to push in a certain direction that's not going to fit the mold they want? You just kind of have to look at past history and track records and understand that it's going to be hard to keep Deadpool the way Ryan Reynolds wants to, which is more like Deadpool 2, because that's not how Disney's going to operate.